The streets of Virella were dark that night. Rain poured endlessly, washing away the dust but not the hunger that lived in every corner. The city was once bright and full of human laughter, but now only shadows remained. The Drathan controlled everything, the markets, the power, even the air humans breathed. People walked quietly, afraid to make eye contact with their alien masters. Lena walked through the rain, clutching her thin coat around her body. Her shoes were broken. Every step hurt, but she kept walking. In her arms she carried her small son, Eli. The boy's face was pale, his lips dry. He had not eaten properly for days. Lena could feel his body trembling as she held him close. "Just a little longer, sweetheart," she whispered. "Mama will find something." Eli didn't answer. His eyes were half closed, weak and tired. Lena's heart broke as she looked at him. She had already sold everything. Her husband's old jacket, her tools, even her wedding necklace. The only thing she had left was a silver ring. It wasn't just jewelry. It was the last memory of her husband who disappeared during the rebellion 5 years ago. She told herself she would never sell it. But tonight, hunger had no mercy. The rain grew heavier as she reached the lower district, where old neon lights flickered. The signs were mostly in Drathan script, glowing with green symbols she could not read. One sign stood out, written in both alien and human language. It said, "We trade in anything." It was a pawn shop. A small place squeezed between two tall buildings. The windows were cracked, and behind them strange objects floated. Machines, stones that glowed, pieces of alien armor. Lena hesitated outside the door. She looked at her ring, then at her sleeping son. "I'm sorry," she whispered. She kissed Eli's forehead and pushed the door open. A small bell rang as she entered. The air inside was warm but smelled of metal and oil. The room was dim, lit only by the soft glow of alien devices. Behind the counter stood a Drathan clerk, tall and thin, his skin pale like marble. His 4 black eyes blinked slowly as he looked at her. Lena walked to the counter and placed the ring in front of him. Her hands shook. "Please," she said softly, "I need food. My son is sick. This ring, it's all I have." The clerk picked up the ring and turned it under the light. He said nothing. His long fingers traced the metal and his eyes narrowed. Then, without looking at her, he pressed a button on the wall. Lena felt her stomach twist. "Please," she repeated. "I just need a few food tokens or even a small packet." The door behind the counter opened. A taller Drathan entered the room. His body armor shimmered with faint blue light, and his presence filled the space with cold authority. His eyes were sharper, and his voice calm but heavy. "I am Sorvak," he said. "You brought this ring?" Lena nodded nervously. "Yes, it was my husband's. I only need food." Sorvak took the ring from the clerk. He studied it closely, then looked up at her. "Where did your husband get this?" "It was his wedding ring," Lena replied. "He was a scientist before the war." "Please, I don't know anything else." Sorvak stared at her for a long time. Then he placed the ring down gently. "We don't want your ring," he said slowly. Lena blinked in confusion. "I don't understand." "We want you." Her heart froze. She took a step back, holding Eli tightly. "What do you mean?" Sorvak's voice remained calm, almost gentle. "You are Lena Halden. You once worked at the Human Research Center before it was destroyed. You helped design the genetic blueprints for Project Dawn." Lena shook her head. "That was years ago. I was a junior assistant. I barely knew what they were doing. Please, I'm just a mother now." But Sorvak's expression didn't change. Project Dawn was meant to create life from barren soil. It was abandoned when the rebellion began. You were one of the last scientists to touch its core file. Lena's mind spun. She didn't understand how they knew all this. She had hidden her past carefully, erased every record of her name. She had become invisible for Eli's sake. "I don't know what you're talking about," she said quietly. "I just want food for my child." Sorvak turned toward the door. "Take them," he ordered the guards waiting outside. 2 Drathan soldiers entered, their heavy armor humming. Lena's pulse raced. She backed against the wall, clutching Eli tighter. "No, please, he's sick." "Don't hurt him!" "We won't harm you," Sorvak said calmly. "You're too important." The guards approached slowly. Lena tried to run, but one of them blocked her way. The other gently took Eli from her arms. She screamed and reached for him, but Sorvak raised his hand. "Your son will not be harmed. You have my word." Tears streamed down her face. "Why are you doing this?" "What do you want from me?" Sorvak's dark eyes softened slightly. "The ring you offered is not just jewelry. It contains something hidden inside. something your husband sealed before he disappeared. It is the key to the Arc seed. The Arc, what? She whispered. You will understand soon, Sorvak said. For now, you must come with us. The guards led her out of the pawnshop. The rain hit her face as she stumbled forward helpless. The streets were empty now, the neon lights reflecting in the puddles. People watched from windows but quickly closed their blinds. No one interfered when the Drathan took someone away. They reached a small transport craft parked at the end of the street. Its engines hummed softly, casting a pale blue glow. The guards guided Lena and Eli inside. She sat in silence, holding her son close again, tears falling silently. Sorvak entered last. He sat across from her as the doors closed. You have nothing to fear, he said. You say that, she whispered, but I've seen what happens to humans who are taken. This is not the same, Sorvak replied. You are part of something greater than you know. Lena stared at him. If I was, then why did you destroy us? Why did your kind take everything? Sorvak didn't answer right away. His gaze shifted to the window as the ship lifted off the ground. Because we were dying, he said softly, and desperate creatures do cruel things to survive. The craft rose higher through the thick clouds, leaving the dark city behind. Lena watched the ground disappear below her, the tiny lights fading into fog. She remembered the day the war ended, the day her husband vanished during an explosion that destroyed the research center. She had run with Eli, hiding in abandoned factories, living in silence ever since. Now she was being taken by the same race that ruined her life. Eli stirred in her arms and looked up at her weakly. Mama, where are we going? Lena forced a smile. Somewhere safe, baby. I'm here. Sorvak's eyes rested on them quietly. You care deeply for him, he said. He's all I have, Lena replied. The ship entered orbit, and Lena felt the pressure ease as gravity faded. Through the window, she saw the black ocean of space. For a moment, it took her breath away. Stars stretched endlessly, like cold fires in the distance. The craft docked inside a massive alien vessel orbiting Varela. Its walls glowed faint green, pulsing like living skin. As they walked through the corridors, Lena saw Drathan workers staring at her curiously. Some whispered. Others stepped aside. She was led to a clean white chamber. A soft bed, food trays, and water waited there. It was far more comfort than she had known for years. Eli was laid gently on the bed, already asleep. Sorvak remained by the door. You will rest here, he said. Tomorrow we will talk about Project Dawn. Lena's voice trembled. And if I refuse? Then we will find another way, he said quietly. But I hope you will not make us choose that path. She glared at him. You think you can take me and expect me to help you? You're the reason my world fell apart. Sorvak's expression didn't change. I understand your anger, but your husband's work may be the only thing that can save not just us but every living world left in this system. She froze. My husband's work. Sorvak nodded slowly. He hid something powerful inside that ring, something we could never decode. We believe he left it for you. He left, and the door closed softly behind him. Lena sat beside her son and looked at the ring lying on the small metal table. It shimmered faintly under the room light. She picked it up, feeling the familiar warmth of its surface. What did you do, Michael? She whispered, thinking of her husband. Outside the chamber, Sorvak walked down the corridor. A young Drathan officer approached him. Sir, is it true? That human woman, she carries the code? Yes, Sorvak replied. And more. Her blood carries a fragment of the hybrid gene. She doesn't know it yet. What about the boy? The officer asked. Sorvak paused. He carries the rest. The officer frowned. Then the Arc seed can be awakened? Perhaps, Sorvak said quietly. But it will depend on her choice. Inside the chamber, Lena looked out the window at the stars. The fear inside her mixed with confusion and a faint spark of something else. Hope. She didn't know why, but for the first time in years she felt that her life meant something again. She held Eli's hand tightly. No matter what happens, she whispered, I'll protect you. Far below, the world of Varela remained dark, unaware that the fate of both species was now in the hands of one starving mother and her child. The ship drifted silently through space, carrying them toward an uncertain destiny, and in the pawnshop far below, the empty counter still held a faint trace of her warmth, and the sign in the window flickered in the rain. We trade in anything. Lena woke to the soft hum of machines. The room was still dim, but the air was cleaner and cooler than she had known in years. For a moment, she forgot where she was. Then she saw the metallic walls, the faint glow running through them like veins of light, and remembered everything, the pawnshop, the ring, and the aliens who took her. Eli was still asleep beside her, his chest rising and falling softly. His skin looked healthier than before. Someone must have given him medicine during the night. She touched his forehead gently. No fever. A door opened with a quiet hiss. Sorvak entered holding a silver tray with 2 cups and a small bowl of food. He placed it on the table and stepped back. You should eat, he said. Your son's strength is returning, but he will need more rest. Lena stared at him. Why are you helping us? You could have just taken what you wanted. Sorvak's voice was calm. Because what we need can't be taken by force. He sat across from her. His face was unreadable, his eyes as dark as space. We found something inside the ring, he said. Your husband left behind encrypted data. Only your genetic code can unlock it. Lena frowned. You never told me anything about that. We were just trying to build a better future. Then the war began. Everything was destroyed. Sorvak nodded slowly. Project Dawn was meant to create a living machine, a seed that could rebuild dying worlds. The Arc seed, Lena looked confused. That was just a theory. It was never finished. Sorvak stood and turned toward the window. It was finished. But it has been dormant for years. We tried to activate it, but the system rejects us. It was designed to respond only to human DNA. And now, humans are nearly gone. Lena's hands trembled. So you brought me here to fix your mistake. To fix all our mistakes, Sorvak said. The Drathan Empire is dying. Our atmosphere is failing, our crops are gone. Without the Arc seed, we will fall. But if we succeed, both our species can survive. She stared at him, uncertain if he was telling the truth. The Drathan had been cruel rulers, crushing every human uprising. Now he spoke like a desperate man, not a conqueror. And if I refuse? She asked quietly. Then your world and mine both die, he said simply. Silence filled the room. The hum of machines echoed faintly. Lena looked at her sleeping son again, then back at Sorvak. Show me, she said. Sorvak pressed a panel on the wall and the door opened to a long hallway. As they walked, Lena saw glass walls revealing laboratories filled with glowing tanks, strange plants, and alien symbols. Scientists, both Drathan and human, moved quietly, working side by side. At the end of the hall stood a massive circular door. It opened slowly, revealing a vast chamber bathed in pale blue light. In the center was a floating sphere pulsing with soft energy. It looked alive, like a beating heart made of light. The Arc seed, Sorvak said. It is both machine and life. Your husband helped build it. Lena stepped closer. The sphere emitted a faint warmth. It felt familiar, like something deep within her recognized it. What do you need me to do? She asked. We need your touch, Sorvak said. The system is locked to your genetic pattern. Only you can wake it. Lena hesitated. And what happens after that? If it works, Sorvak said, this planet's atmosphere will heal. Plants will return, food will grow again, and if it fails, he looked at her silently. That was enough of an answer. Lena took a deep breath and approached the sphere. A small platform rose beneath her feet. She reached out slowly, her hand trembling. The moment her fingers touched the light, it reacted, flaring bright. Symbols appeared around her, floating in the air. The sphere's pulse grew faster. Energy surrounded her like a soft wind. Her heart raced. Images flashed through her mind. Her husband's face, the laboratory they once worked in. And his voice saying, if I don't come back, it's up to you. Then she heard another voice, calm, artificial, yet warm. Human signature detected. System link established, the floor vibrated. Sorvak stepped forward. It's working, but suddenly the light flickered. The energy dimmed, then flared again violently. Lena cried out as the current surged through her. The sphere's voice changed, almost panicked. Incomplete sequence detected. Genetic key missing. Sorvak's eyes widened. What's wrong? Lena gasped, falling to her knees. It's rejecting me. Wait, Sorvak said. Your son, bring the boy. The guards rushed out and returned moments later with Eli in their arms. He was half awake, confused and scared. Mom, he whispered. Lena reached out to him. It's okay, baby. Just hold my hand. As soon as Eli's small fingers touched hers, the sphere stabilized. The light grew steady again, softer now. The machine spoke once more. Sequence complete. Activation in progress. The chamber filled with a deep hum and golden streams of light shot upward, spreading across the ceiling like roots. Lena and Eli stood together, surrounded by the glow. Sorvak watched in awe. "The boy carries the other half of the code," he whispered. The light faded slowly, leaving a calm silence. The sphere floated gently, now glowing with a peaceful rhythm. The machine spoke one last time. "The arc seed is awake." Lena fell to the floor, breathing heavily. Eli knelt beside her, hugging her tightly. Sorvak approached them, his face filled with something new: respect. "You did it," he said softly. But before Lena could answer, alarms began to ring. The chamber lights flashed red. A Drathan officer rushed in. "Commander, there's an energy surge. It's spreading across the planet." Sorvak turned to the window. Outside, the dark sky of Varela began to change. Thick clouds parted, revealing sunlight. The air shimmered as waves of green light swept over the surface. Dead soil turned brown, then green. Rivers filled. Trees began to grow again. Lena stood weakly, watching the transformation. "It's healing," she whispered. "Yes," Sorvak said. "But it's more than that. The arc seed is restoring the planet's life system. It's responding to you." The alarm stopped. The hum of power faded into a quiet calm. Outside, the people of Varela looked up at the sky in disbelief. For the first time in years, it rained clean water, not acid, not ash. Children laughed as they touched it. Lena turned to Sorvak. "You have what you wanted. Now free the humans." Sorvak hesitated. "That decision belongs to the council." Lena stepped forward. "Then tell your council this. If you try to enslave us again, I'll shut it all down." Sorvak looked at her, surprised. "You can't control it." She smiled faintly. "Maybe not, but it listens to me." For a moment, they stared at each other. Then Sorvak nodded slowly. "Perhaps it's time we learn to listen too." Days passed. The planet continued to heal. Human settlements began to rebuild. Food grew where there had been dust. The Drathan, once proud and distant, started working beside humans to restore the land. Lena became a symbol of change, a mother who had turned despair into rebirth. But she wanted no titles. She only wanted peace for her son. One evening, as the sun set behind the mountains, she stood near the old pawnshop where it all began. The building still stood, though it had been repaired. The same glowing sign hung above the door, but the words had changed. It now read, "We trade in hope." Sorvak appeared beside her. He looked different now, less like a soldier, more like a leader. "It suits you," he said quietly. Lena smiled softly. "I never thought I'd see this world alive again." He nodded. "You gave it back to us?" "No," she said. "We gave it back together." They stood in silence for a while, watching children play in the clean rain. Eli ran toward them, laughing. He held a small plant in his hands, its leaves glowing faintly. "Look, Mama, it's growing." She knelt and hugged him tightly. "That's beautiful, Eli." Sorvak looked at the boy. "He will carry both our world's future," he said. "Then let's make sure it's a good one," Lena replied. That night, as stars filled the sky, Lena sat by the window of her small new home. Eli slept beside her, smiling in his dreams. The ring lay on the table, glowing faintly as if her husband's spirit still watched over them. She picked it up, feeling its warmth. "You did it, Michael," she whispered. "You saved us." Outside, Varela breathed again. The air smelled of rain and new life, and for the first time in many years, Lena didn't feel fear when she looked at the sky. She felt belonging. In the distance, the great arc seed pulsed softly, its light reaching every corner of the world. It was no longer a weapon or a secret. It was a promise. The Drathan and humans worked together, rebuilding cities, planting forests, and learning to trust again. The old wounds of war began to fade, replaced by something stronger than power: understanding. Lena watched Eli run through the fields the next morning, his laughter echoing under the bright sun. She smiled. The hunger, the pain, the fear, all of it felt like another lifetime. Now she was not just a struggling mother. She was the bridge between two worlds, and in that new dawn, both human and Drathan learned a truth they had long forgotten. Sometimes, it is not weapons or armies that save a world, but the love of a mother who refuses to give up.